So what is good guys, Adnan here, and it is without a doubt that my favorite OEM skin atop Android is OnePlus's OxygenOS. Over the year, the custom UI has matured with addition of new and intuitive features, and it has branched itself from sticking too close to stock Android. And in my opinion, that's what sets it apart. Let's have a look at 5 things that OxygenOS has to offer that you'd wish every OEM would too. I wanted to get this feature off my list the first because of just how useful it is, especially now more than ever with everyone crazing over competitive mobile gaming. The gaming mode can be enabled on OnePlus devices by diving into settings, utilities, and then into the gaming mode options. Here you can enable a host of different settings to suit your needs the best. Firstly, you may enable the option to allow you to take calls using the speaker instead of the earpiece. It's a good feature for those who want an uninterrupted gaming experience but also don't want to miss out on their important calls, but for me I just ignore the calls anyway, so I leave this feature turned off. Next up, and my favorite, you can choose how the heads up notifications show up. Usually on Android Lollipop and higher, the top fourth of your screen just flashes whenever you receive a new notification. With the gaming mode though, you can choose to completely disable it, or like I did, choose to only display the text. It's right there in the middle, a perfect balance. You can also choose to display calls from third-party apps like WhatsApp and Messenger to come up as notifications instead of taking up the entire screen. You may lock the capacitive buttons if enabled, and this makes sure that you don't yeet out of a game accidentally. Another option I have enabled is the one that disables automatic brightness, which I otherwise have turned on thanks to how accurate it is in Android Pie. Within the gaming mode tab, you can add or remove apps specifically if the gaming mode hasn't picked them up by default. About a month ago, OnePlus pushed out an esports mode, which is basically the ultimate toggle for this gaming mode. And like it sounds, it clears out all the background processes and prioritizes the CPU to the game currently running. You can also use the advanced do not disturb and network enhancement modes to block away all notifications and to boost your signal respectively. I personally don't think this esports mode is necessary, at least not with the specs that OnePlus devices already have, but hey, it's available if you're interested. Ever since OxygenOS was debuted in 2015, the sole emphasis had been on the off-screen gestures carried over from CyanogenOS. With OxygenOS 9, you do get the same privileges but adequately a little more. Not only do you have the traditional gestures to control the music, toggle the flashlight, and basically set any of the 5-letter shortcuts to do anything you want, but now you get a few more intuitive quick actions too. For instance, you can simply flip your phone over to mute it off of an incoming call, or swipe down with 3 fingers to quickly grab a screenshot. You can also enable the answer calls by gesture option, which is self-explanatory. You obviously still have the double press of the power button to quick launch the camera and a short press of it to trigger the Google Assistant. A word on the new gesture navigation system on the OnePlus 5T, 6 and the 6T. It's improved vastly since its initial release. The swiping itself is a lot more smoother and it feels intuitive. They do take some getting used to, but are definitely much better than what Google has to offer with its awkward pill navigation. While there are a plethora of options within OxygenOS to style it as you prefer, the OG means of doing it requires theming, and this skin has got you well covered. Not only can you choose from 3 system-wide themes, which includes the AMOLED black as well as the completely white for those aesthetic dudes, but you can choose an accent color, 1 out of 16 million. The system-wide theme affects all the stock apps and the notification panel as well as the launcher. The accent colors also dominate the whole of OxygenOS in ways you wouldn't expect. It themes all the toggles and buttons over the spectrum of OxygenOS and completely stylizes all the stock apps, which includes the dialer, messages, calculator and more. Another aspect that I appreciate about OxygenOS a lot is the stock launcher. It's one of every stock OEM offering that I've used, and all while looking super clean. You can select any icon pack you have, select the grid size, and if that doesn't quench your thirst, you can individually change the name and icon of every single app. There's a handy little shelf add-on to the far left, and if you swipe very carefully to the right in the app drawer, you discover a secrets app menu. All of this adds to the finishing touches that OxygenOS provides, and the launcher is definitely one of the biggest reasons why I love it. Clubbing both design and software updates in one category is quite a confusing thing to do, but if you really think about it, these are the two major reasons why OxygenOS has plummeted over the years. It started off as a one-to-one copy of stock Android, but with every major iteration, it started deviating from the looks and feels of Google's Android, favoring its own set of taste and design. Many people, including me, were skeptical about this move, but turns out all of this was done only for the better. The OxygenOS I know now is miles ahead in terms of design than stock AOSP, and that's a bold statement to make. Everything in OxygenOS has its place with a defined purpose. The gestures make it easier to use, things like swiping down on the home screen to call upon the notification panel, or having full control over your navigation means, all of these add up to the experience. All the stock apps also follow a strict UI code with big vectory looking colorful elements, all following the same system-wide accent color that you've chosen. The recent screen looks so much better than Google's just because they decided to refine it a bit, round the corners, and make the clear all button available in blind sight. Now I could go blabbering about how the design and UI of OxygenOS is great despite it not being close to stock anymore, but some experiences are left better to be used than to be told. All of this cake has the cherry of timely updates on top, with the 4th generation old OnePlus 3 receiving Android Pie at a time where most recent Android flagships merely exist on Oreo. In OxygenOS, you have the normal stable updates every month, or if you opt in, you may be eligible to receive open betas once every 2 months at the very least. Updates in OxygenOS are quick, easy, and overall break the stereotype that all Android phones except for Google lag behind. Like stated previously, OxygenOS is an always growing experience, and over the years there have been numerous such features that go underlooked thanks to the bigger, much bolder ones. OxygenOS offers users some tiny but helpful features like parallel apps, which allows the user to clone a supported app of choice and use 2 instances of it at once. There's a built-in app talker without ads that feels it's designed for OxygenOS and doesn't feel like a third-party service interrupting your experience. Very recently, a feature going by the name of Quick Landscape hit the open betas, and this introduces replying to conversations while you're in the landscape mode in a very meaning manner. Users of OnePlus devices can choose how the system handles the recent apps by clearing them frequently or by utilizing the most of your RAM to keep as many services alive as it can. For newer OnePlus devices, there's a Smart Boost mode which uses little chunks of your RAM to preload services in cache and provide a truly smooth experience. Not that OxygenOS was laggy to begin with, but you know what I mean. That's been my take on a few OxygenOS features I really grew fond of. If you guys like this rundown, do let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.